Did you know that in the Philippines, some women are forced to eat food scraps from the garbage just to survive? This shocking reality is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the struggles faced by Filipino women. In this video, we'll explore the dark underbelly of a country often praised for its beauty and hospitality. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. The depth of desperation faced by some Filipino women goes beyond what most can imagine. Did you know that in Manila, some people make a living by collecting and reselling discarded food from trash bins? This practice, known as pagpag, is just one example of the extreme lengths women go to in order to survive. But what other hidden struggles do these women face in their daily lives? In the poorest areas of the Philippines, pagpag has become a grim reality for many. This term refers to the practice of collecting food scraps from garbage, often from fast food restaurants, and attempting to salvage what's edible. It's a stark illustration of the desperation faced by those living in extreme poverty, including countless women who resort to this method to feed themselves and their families. But the struggle for survival doesn't end there. Many Filipino women find themselves trapped in the informal economy, particularly as kasambahays or domestic helpers. These jobs, while providing some income, come with significant risks. Sexual harassment and exploitation by employers are all too common, leaving these women vulnerable in the very places they work. Take the case of Jen, a domestic helper who experienced sexual harassment from her employer. Her story is not unique, highlighting the dangers that kasambahays face in their work environment. What makes matters worse is that many of these women lack knowledge about their rights and the laws designed to protect them, perpetuating a cycle of abuse and exploitation. The challenges don't stop at the workplace. Filipino women often bear a double burden, balancing their paid work with unpaid domestic responsibilities. This juggling act severely limits their access to resources and support, trapping them in a cycle of poverty and vulnerability. Imagine working long hours as a domestic helper only to return home to cook, clean, and care for your own family with little time for rest or personal development. The scale of this issue is staggering. According to the National Wages and Productivity Commission, nearly 50,000 Filipinos aged 18 and below are working as domestic helpers. This statistic not only reveals the prevalence of child labor in this sector, but also underscores the lack of opportunities for adult women, forcing them to send their children to work instead. The informal economy, particularly for kasambahays, is characterized by a lack of job security and benefits. This leaves these women especially vulnerable to economic instability and abuse. Without formal contracts or legal protections, they can be fired at will, leaving them with no income and few options. In the face of such limited choices, some women are forced into illicit activities, including prostitution as a means of survival. The lack of viable job opportunities perpetuates this cycle of exploitation, trapping women in dangerous and degrading situations. The harsh realities faced by women in the Philippines extend beyond work and into their living conditions. Some find themselves residing in cemeteries or makeshift homes, a testament to the lengths they must go to survive amidst poverty. These living situations not only pose health risks, but also expose women to further dangers and social stigma. Despite these immense challenges, Filipino women demonstrate remarkable resilience. They navigate their harsh realities with creativity and resourcefulness, finding ways to survive and even support their families in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. However, this resilience comes at a great cost to their health, safety, and future prospects. The Philippines has laws to protect women, so why have violence cases skyrocketed by 500% over 16 years? This alarming statistic reveals a deep-rooted problem within the Filipino system. Despite legislative measures aimed at safeguarding women's rights, the reality on the ground paints a grim picture. Let's take a closer look at some of these laws. The Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act, RA 9262, was implemented to address domestic abuse. The Magna Carta of Women and the Safe Spaces Act were designed to promote gender equality and protect women from harassment. These laws sound promising on paper, but their effectiveness is questionable. The stark reality is that enforcement and awareness awareness of these laws remain woefully inadequate. The Philippine National Police reported a staggering 23,865 cases of violence against women in 2013 alone. This marked a 49.4% increase from the previous year, highlighting a disturbing trend. Even more shocking is the fact that this represents a 500% rise in cases over a 16-year period. Domestic violence serves as a prime example of the justice system's failure to protect women. Over 1/3 of separated or widowed women in the Philippines have experienced physical violence. This statistic underscores the pervasive nature of abuse within households and the challenges women face when seeking help or trying to leave abusive relationships. The system's shortcomings extend beyond physical violence. Online harassment and objectification of women have emerged as significant threats in recent years. These digital forms of abuse are often linked to broader societal issues of sexism and patriarchal norms. The online world has become another battleground where women must fight for their dignity and safety. What makes this situation even more concerning is that many women remain unaware of their rights and the protections available to them, despite the existence of laws like the Magna Carta of Women and the Safe Spaces Act. Information about these protections often fails to reach those who need it most. This lack of awareness leaves countless women vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. The ongoing cycle of violence against women in the Philippines is perpetuated by societal norms that prioritize male dominance. These deeply ingrained cultural beliefs often lead to a culture of silence around abuse. Women may feel pressured to endure mistreatment for the sake of family harmony or fear social stigma if they speak out. It's important to note that the rise in reported cases doesn't necessarily mean that violence itself has increased. It could indicate that more women are coming forward to report abuse. However, this interpretation offers little comfort when considering the sheer number of cases and the likelihood of many more going unreported. In the face of systemic failures, a new hope is emerging from an unexpected source. Grassroots movements are gaining traction in the Philippines, challenging long-held beliefs about women's roles in society. What impact could these small-scale efforts have on the nation's future? Enter the Sexual Health and Empowerment SHE Project, an initiative aiming to empower 85,000 women and adolescent girls and boys across 13 disadvantaged and conflict-affected provinces in the Philippines. This project exemplifies the growing trend of community-led efforts to address the challenges faced by Filipino women. Organizations like Oxfam Pilipinas are working tirelessly to improve access to sexual and reproductive health information and services for vulnerable women. These grassroots movements are not just providing essential services, they're also fostering a sense of empowerment among women who have long been marginalized. The impact of these initiatives extends far beyond individual lives. As women become more aware of their rights and the resources available to them, they're better equipped to advocate for themselves and their communities. This increased awareness can lead to significant long-term changes in community dynamics and societal attitudes. Consider the ripple effect of a single woman gaining access to reproductive health services or learning about her legal rights. She might share this knowledge with her friends and family, creating a network of informed individuals who can support and protect each other. Over time, these small-scale successes can accumulate, potentially shifting the broader societal landscape. However, the road to change is not without its challenges. As one advocate points out, the state needs to strengthen the implementation of these laws and programs, making sure they reach the community level. This highlights the ongoing struggle to bridge the gap between policy and practice, a task that grassroots movements are increasingly taking on. The persistence of violence against women, VAS in the Philippines, despite numerous laws, underscores the need for these community-led initiatives. Recognizing this, advocates have proposed the Tres Marias Bill, a set of legislative proposals aimed at strengthening laws against gender-based violence. This push for policy change demonstrates how grassroots advocacy can influence the legal landscape. But the true power of these movements lies in their ability to change hearts and minds at the local level. By engaging directly with communities, these initiatives can challenge deeply ingrained cultural norms and attitudes that have long perpetuated gender inequality. As one activist powerfully stated, true equality will only be achieved when one no longer benefits from the plights of another, and the oppressed continues to resist its oppression. The potential future for Filipino women hinges on the momentum gained from these grassroots efforts. As more women become economically empowered and aware of their rights, they can contribute more fully to their communities and the national economy. This could lead to a positive feedback loop where increased women's participation in various sectors of society further strengthens their position and influence. Imagine a Philippines where every woman has access to essential health services, knows her rights, and feels empowered to speak out against injustice. While this vision may seem distant, given the current challenges, the seeds of this future are being planted today by courageous women and their allies across the country. These grassroots movements represent more than just a band-aid solution to deep-rooted problems. They symbolize a shift in power dynamics, placing the tools for change directly in the hands of those most affected. By fostering resilience and empowerment at the community level, these initiatives are laying the groundwork for lasting societal transformation. The struggles of Filipino women are deeply rooted in systemic issues of gender inequality and violence. Despite laws aimed at protecting women, enforcement remains inadequate, and many women are unaware of their rights. This complex problem extends beyond local borders, demanding global attention and support. Grassroots movements are making strides in empowering women and challenging societal norms. However, these efforts alone may not be enough to tackle the entrenched issues. The international community has a crucial role to play in supporting these initiatives and advocating for systemic change in the Philippines. As one advocate powerfully stated, the fight for Filipino women's rights isn't just a local issue, it's a global call for human dignity and equality. This sentiment underscores the interconnectedness of women's rights worldwide. By raising awareness and offering support, we can contribute to a future where Filipino women can live free from violence and discrimination.